Here we go. Hey, everybody. I am so excited to be here. It's Colette Baron-Reid with my special guest every single month, Debbie Frank. And we're here to do the Astro Oracle reading. And we're just going to start by talking about the astrology for the month. And before I even worry about pulling cards, Debbie, so much is going on this March. Let's talk about that.
Well, it is the Mad March. We think about Mad March hares, but this is sort of Mad March cosmos, really. I think the cosmos has decided to just drop everything into 1 month. Yeah. And so I don't think anyone can really expect to feel that they know exactly what's going on, because there's just so many different, bits and pieces, moving parts. There's contradictions, there's retrogrades, there's a pair of eclipses, there's a lot of Neptune energy, there's some Saturn energy. So things are falling apart and then coming together. I mean, I think the thing is, to approach it, trying to stay calm in this chaos. That's what it is. I mean, it's not... it's just not going to be simple. Let's just, put that one right out of it. Nothing is going to be absolutely simple, but it's okay. It's actually quite exciting. It's a very creative month, where lots of things from the past will resurface. And there is this very, very important move as Neptune is moving into Aries for the first time in 165 years. Can you believe it? That's at the very end of the month, after the eclipse new moon in Aries. And it's only spending about 6.5 months in Aries, and it's going to go back to Pisces. But in 2026, it's like the trailer of the big move. In 2026, it's going to be in there permanently. So that's very exciting for all signs. And this is a kind of, because it's very slow moving, normally spends about 14 years in a sign. It's just going to give people a taste of the shift in the energy.
What does it mean? Like, what is the flavor of this energy?
When we think about the collective, I mean, Neptune in Pisces, whilst it's been in Pisces, a lot of water issues over the last 14 years. And it's all been about celebrity culture, all of that kind of thing. I think things are sort of shifting now to being more self-directed, because they're going into Aries. It's more about, what do you think? Not let's follow the celebrities. So, I mean, I think that's a great thing. I think, personal creativity, personal inspiration, as Carl Jung would have said, individuation, that's what Aries is all about. Who am I? Not how do I merge with everyone else? So I think it's fascinating, but, this hasn't happened to anyone here on the planet in our lifetimes, maybe in some previous lives, but it's going to be fascinating for us it's an incredible time to be here and to see, what's going to take place.
So you also mentioned, so we have 2 eclipses, right? We have a lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse. And then you mentioned Saturn and Uranus. So can we, so we know that there's Venus retrograde, there's Mercury retrograde, there's the eclipses, and there are these planetary things, because everything's going to move into all these new signs, right? Soon.
Soon. And this is the first month of it. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the quality of Saturn and the quality of Uranus, like how that changes.
Yeah, it's actually Neptune rather than Uranus. But yes, Saturn currently still in Pisces. And we're going to have a Sun-Saturn conjunction in Pisces when they're very close together in the middle of the month, just before the eclipse. So, Saturn is, the hard work planet of the cosmos. And, I'm quite happy to see the Sun and Saturn there, because considering all the other stuff, which is so contradictory, Saturn doesn't take any nonsense. Saturn is like, okay, if it is an ending, let's just be done. So, it's quite good to have that. It's kind of like, keep your feet on the ground, just make that one decision that obviously if it's untenable, don't hang on anymore. It's that kind of thing.
Right.
And then we have a lot of Neptune energy as it passes out of Pisces, it kind of kisses goodbye to the Sun, to Mercury, and to Venus. And, that is a kind of nostalgic, it's very Piscean, it is sort of air of nostalgia, a sort of dream world, dream state. It can be very inspiring, very soulful. And then we move right into this Aries energy with the eclipse new moon in Aries and the Neptune moving into Aries on the last couple of days of the month. I mean, you know, so it's like a very big change from water to fire. And also the full moon eclipse is actually a total eclipse, and that one's in Virgo. That's in the middle of the month. So I mean, eclipses, if it was just eclipse season alone, you know, that's very big energy. It's very intense. It's very strong. But it's like with everything else going on. So literally, it's going to be quite a show, quite a wild ride, I think.
Quite a wild ride. So Pisces being really the planet of spirituality, the planet of illusion and delusion too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's like that kind of final of like, what do we don't want anymore too, right? I think.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get rid of our illusions and you know, just get hold of ourselves and what we want. That's the only thing we can be certain of, not in a selfish way, but let's just return to ourselves and not get, you know, lost, stop feeling lost.
And I think you hit the nail on the head here where you say not in a selfish way, because it can come out as selfish, right? It can come out as just self will run riot. But now that we know that Pluto is in Aquarius, we also know that the will needs to be in service to the whole too. So your unique self serves all of us. If you are your most authentic self, that actually serves the whole. So that, keeping that in mind, that's great. Okay, so let's go through all the signs. And we're going to start with Aries this month in March.
Well, Aries, you are on, baby. I mean, it's it. So we start right almost from the get-go. Venus is going to be retrograde in your sign from the 2nd of March all the way through the rest of the month. And, you know, the Venus retrograde is for a period of 6 weeks. It's going back to Pisces by the end of the month. But I mean, it's that feeling of people from the past, and obviously love from the past, the ex, you know, all of this kind of thing. The last time that Venus went retrograde in Aries, BTW, was 2017 in the spring. So, and again, 2009 in the spring. So if those ring any bells, see if you can join the dots. Might not be the same people, it's not the same situation, but that feeling. And it's not just exclusively Venus about relationships, also about values and money, those kinds of things. Because it's in Aries, it's very much about how you're presenting yourself to the world. You think of the first house where Venus is going to be, it's kind of like your front door, your brand, you know, it's like I'm here, how you interface with the world. So, I mean, I think it's interesting, even if it's like a new hairstyle, because that's how you present to the world. Venus retrograde, it's like, oh, you know, actually that fringe, as we call it here in the UK, you call it bangs, I think. Yeah, I'd quite like to go back to that, you know, or whatever. It's
about fringe.
Going vintage. It's going vintage, whether it's relationships, how you look, you know, just having a review of things from the past. And then, of course, Mercury, which is also going to be in your sign, will be going retrograde at the same time from the 15th. So these are about plans, rethinking things, finding things. I find Mercury retrograde fabulous for finding things that have got lost, you know. The eclipsed full moon for you, the no nonsense eclipse, is clearance. So look at that, you know, when they do sales and then, you know, it goes down, down, down. And then there's this final, like, no, get rid of it, clear it all out. It's like dirt cheap, bargain basement. That's how you're going to feel. Just like, that's it, right? And then you're going to get your own eclipse, new moon, March the 29th. A very big aha, because new moons are always new beginnings. Eclipse, new moon, even more so. It's like really getting a handle on those things. With the retrogrades, you'll get the message, you'll get the memo from the universe at the end of the month. And that's followed on March the 30th by Neptune sliding into your sign, because Neptune doesn't march, she slides. And it's the first time you've played host or hostess to her in 165 years. So the vibration is going to shift to something very soulful, quite magical. We're looking at, you know, all of that creative energy and spiritual energy of Neptune coming to your sign for 6.5 months. And then after 2026, it's going to be with you for 14 years. So you're going to get this taster. See how you feel. I mean, don't judge it immediately. I mean, obviously it's towards the end of the month anyway, but just be with it. That's really Neptune's just inviting you to just be with her energy, and to maybe be less of the warrior and more of the soul-centered person, I would say.
I'll remind Mark about that, my husband. So, thank you so much. The 2 cards that I got for Aries, it's interesting, is happy, happy. This card from Wisdom of the Wisdom of the Oracle, the Pocket Oracle. It's really about what makes you happy, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, not about what makes you angry at all. It's the opposite. It's like, what makes me happy? What brings adventure and bliss, etc. to me? And the community card in the upside down or protection position, when I look at this in accordance to what you've said, it's really about finding new people. Like sometimes, you were saying, like, people from the past come back to remind you of where you were, but then you're like, I'm not there anymore. And so it's also like, oh, look how far I've come. So it's also a really good reminder of, like, I'm not this person anymore that was in that situation. I'm someone new. So for Aries, there's a quality of, also just a quality of, they see themselves differently and see themselves with other people very differently. They get a chance to revisit themselves through other people in reflection of, I'm not this person anymore. So that's really cool. So let's look.
Very great. Absolutely. So Taurus, oh my goodness, for the earth signs, you just want to have your hooves planted firmly on the ground and for everything to be slow. Well, of course, the retrogrades do slow things up, and it's in your 12th house, which is your place of your own inner sanctum. That is the place for you to be, Taurus, through a lot of this month. So let others play their cards and change their minds, and you just wait and see what's coming. The eclipse full moon, March the 14th, in your sister earth sign of Virgo. Well, this is a time actually which is quite pleasurable for you to enjoy your gifts, your talents, your creative spark, and your love of life. So don't forget to tap into those absolutely pulsating good times. A lot of soul connections around in the second half of the month with all of this Neptune energy. And, that's interesting, isn't it? Because there could be this feeling of this joining together with others, but also the letting go of others. Like, yes, that karma is closing out now. We were together for this reason. Now we're moving on, or you're moving on to something else. So late in the month, you need to prepare yourself for this eclipse new moon in your next door neighbor sign of Aries. So this is going to be followed by the arrival of Neptune. I think this is incredibly spiritual, Taurus, a time really for you to tune into your guardian angel, to visit the higher realms, get into your intuition and inspiration, and move into the invisible realm, the unseen dimensions. Now, lots of Taurians I know personally, and my clients are deeply spiritual people, but we all know that Taurus likes, the 5 senses, it's very much on that 3D, third dimensional level. So it's kind of an opportunity. And as we touched on earlier, this is going to be around for a very long time. You don't have to do it all in a rush, but, just sort of open up to this idea that there's more to life than meets the eye.
Yeah, I love that. And here's what's also interesting. So I got the never ending story in the upside down position, which is always about not my circus, not my monkeys, right? So it's about, don't let other people throw their stuff on you. So we have to be discerning this month. And because remember you said the inner sanctum, who are you letting in here? Don't, right? You don't want to get caught up or be seduced by other people's drama. That's really, really important for Taurus this month, because you won't feel stable. And the other thing is round and round is, again, interesting, that teeny bit similar to the Aries, which was about seeing how far you've come. This is like, you will be back. And maybe it's because you go back to 2017 again, right? That whole, what did you do then at that 2017? And now, how are you bringing that forward? It is because you have evolved. So whatever it is that you began in 2017, like I know when I launched Oracle School, where I started writing it at that time. So I thought, oh, that's so interesting because I'm doing a new school thing in the summer. So it's so weird. But in this case for Taurus, it's very much about doing things differently, but really being very clear that bringing in the more soulful aspect will enhance you. Will even enhance your 3D experience, right?
Yeah, everything on all levels. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, perfect.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so lovely Gemini. Still got Jupiter there, so count your blessings on that one. Fantastic. This is again all about people. There is a feeling with Mercury and Venus retrograde, this sliding doors moments. So sliding doors, we think, oh, FOMO, did I miss out on that? But you might find they open again. That's the extraordinary thing with the retrograde. For friendship, you're looking at who matters. You start talking again to people. Quite sort of interesting, really, on the 12th of the month, as the Sun and Saturn join up there on your midheaven. That's a very decisive day for you. And it could be a big deal. That could be good if you've been waiting for someone, even though, there's this sort of retrograde feel. There's this sense of, we know what we're doing. We're in alignment and you want to sign it off. It's a decision, perhaps a commitment. The total eclipse a couple of days later on the 14th, this is about, okay, well, I made that decision and this is all about where I'm going in my life. But hang on a minute. What about my personal life, my family? How am I going to fit it in? How are you going to do that work-life balance? So you've got to just work out that juggling. How are you going to apportion the time available? Second half of the month, a lot of Neptune energy. So you really do want to be around people who share your imagination. And we might think, oh, well, Gemini isn't so much about imagination, it's about information. But actually, because Neptune is there, you're getting this sort of extra desire to do something that's, really different and special in a way. It's the effects of Neptune. And, you want to do that by aligning with certain people. And the end of the month with the new introductions of this eclipse, new moon in Aries and Neptune arriving here. Again, you're sort of like, used to be quite a kind of catch-all for people. Like, the more the merrier. It doesn't matter who it is, where it is. Whatever. Now you're starting to think, no, I really want to pick up on people who are on this sort of creative / spiritual vibrational energy. So these are the kinds of connections that you're going to be seeking going forward.
Love that. What was so interesting here looking at the Gemini's cards, so happy and the fates were stuck together, which was interesting because I had pulled the card earlier with something really different. So something is meant, and I hate to say this so generally, that every Gemini on the whole planet are going to have something amazing happen. But the opportunity for something fated that you've been waiting for is very clear here. Whatever you have worked towards, bam, even if you've been readying yourself to meet somebody new, there it is. Even if you have started something that, and again, it's a slower month because it is all the retrograde energy too, but see a sign and a glimpse of, oh my God, this is going to work. This is going to work, right? So, and then you have Truth Be Told, because that was a separate card, which is all about rigorous honesty, right? Seeing things as they really are, not the way you want them to be, but you want them to be what you see, right? So it's like the idea of wanting what you have and building on that. Right. And then also, like you said, this is the imagination of it, like trusting that, yes, you're in this creative flow. So that's the fate card. The right people are going to be in front of you. Like, bam. So for you, and go explore it, because there's a limitation around that too. I think that there's it's not going to last forever. So jump on it while you can.
That's it. Absolutely. Go for it. Yeah. So Cancer. Well, the good news is, hallelujah, Mars is finally direct in your sign, Cancer, after that long retrograde. So it turned around towards the end of February, and all the way through March and up until April the 18th will be direct in your sign. So yeah, of course, you know, we know that there are other retrogrades happening, but the big thing is that Mars is going forwards in your sign. So hold that thought and that energy. So there's something that's turned around for you, and you know what it is that you want. I mean, okay, the world, you know, in its kind of circuitous routes with the retrogrades with Mercury and Venus, you know, might take a little bit of time, but at least you're there with it. Like, you've got hold of it now, and you know this is going to happen. So those retrogrades obviously will end, and you will still have Mars direct in your sign. So that's all great. So the retrogrades, yeah, a little bit of shifting sands. That's fine. You are a shifting sand crab. You know, you go on the dry land, you go back in the wood. You're fine with this kind of between. It's okay. So the 12th of March, the Sun and Saturn, quite interesting, that one. Now, this is in your 9th house, which is often about things that are far away. So you might be deciding, because it's Saturn, on a trip, or this could be about a course of study, teaching or learning, because it's, you know, something that's beyond what's in front of your nose right now. More of that later. The eclipsed full moon, ideas are popping all over the place. We're moving into Aries season, and there's going to be this eclipse here on the 29th of the month. So there's a kind of a handover period, I think, of ending beginnings. Neptune moving into Aries also from the 30th. And this is something that, you know, Colette, you touched on earlier, this idea of wanting to be of service to others, that it's not enough to just do something. It's like, you actually do want to help people. It's like, what can I do to help? How can I help? And of course, with that creative, spiritual, intuitive energy, is putting it into the purpose of why you're really here. So this is what's starting to kind of come through, if you like. Brilliant.
You know what's so crazy? I mean, nobody can say that astrology isn't true. I mean, anybody who says that doesn't know what they're talking about, because like you're talking and I'm thinking, well, I am teaching in Spain. I'm a Cancer, right? I'm teaching in Spain, right? And I'm going to be in Portugal, right? So that's far away. And I'm going to be teaching something new and working on a novel and doing all these things. So I thought that was very accurate. Anyway, so the cards for Cancer, and I do think that there has been, it's like, I think the retrograde, Mars retrograde in Cancer has made many of us very sleepy. Right? Like, where's the energy?
Well, yeah.
It's like, the energy has been a little off. But it's interesting that March offers us a time for a nap, which means we don't have to worry so much, because Cancers are the worrywarts of the zodiac. Right. So even though there are certain things external to us that are happening, like I really believe right now we are undergoing the greatest change that any of us has ever seen in our lifetimes.
Agreed.
And I think the Cancer personality might be like, oh my God, you know, blah, 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 in the beginning. And now it's like, hey, I'm actually good with this. It's like, I'm like, I can be with this right now. And something has changed for me. And then the milk and honey card is about seeing, I'm getting a break right now. Cancers are getting a break. They're seeing that they can feel playful a little bit. They can say, you know, okay, this and that can be true. This can be true and that can be true. I'm not just going to sit here looking at that worried. I'm here going, I can be creative. I can be all these different things. So, but I also need to learn how to rest. Right. And I think resting is not just physical resting, because actually when Mars goes direct in Cancer, we have more energy, but it's more about rest your worries.
Yes.
Put them to rest. Exactly. All right, let's move on to Leo.
Okay, well, Leo, so for you, the retrogrades are happening in your 9th house, and that might mean that your future goes a bit into soft focus. You know, you have to play around with your cameras a bit, your lenses, your filters, your perception. Yes, you might change your mind, or you might literally revisit, quite literally, a place from your past. It's like, oh, I'd love to go back there. Or you might be going back to study, some of you Leos, because there is this sense of returning. With the eclipse full moon across your money angles, that's really important for you. It is a total eclipse as well. So you're looking more deeply into just the sort of financial calculation. It's like, what is the real cost? What's the cost of something in terms of time, effort, worry, anything like that? And what is the real value of this? So you're really looking into it very deeply. It will be a bit of a no-brainer, I think, with the total eclipse, because it really sort of, exposes everything. It sort of flags everything up. So, there won't be anything hidden about that. In the second half of the month, there's a lovely kind of dreamy romantic quality here. And as Neptune is going to move into this sort of expansive zone of your chart, I'm going to say it, 2 words: spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
There, I said
it. There you said it. That's great. I love that. Okay. So the idea of spiritual awakening for Leo is going to come from your community. So it's who you're with, right? It's about the kind of experience you'll have in March is by you seeing yourself reflected in others, but being creative, also like bringing that quality of creativity as to who will I become. But with that, you realize, oh, if I'm receptive to what these stars are having in alignment for me, if I'm receptive, because you have the yin card, which is about receptivity, I will see how I can serve. Right? I can see it. That's the awakening for the Leo. Oh my God, I totally get it. Like this with March will be like, aha, the big aha. So I think it's great. Yeah.
Really good. Really good. For Virgo, this is a super powerful total eclipse. That's what you need to focus on in your own sign. It's a game changer. Things are coming up to be released. And again, of course, your Mercury will be retrograde, so will Venus. But I mean, it's this total eclipse. So if you're born around about the 14th of September, then it's going to be very acute, powerful on your case, if you like. But if you know that you've got planets, and some of you do know your charts intimately, at sort of around 21, 22 degrees of Virgo or Pisces, if you've got anything in that sign as well, then yes, it's intense. But it's going to be great, because again, it's that big release of stuff that's been in the works, been in the mix, going round and round on the spin cycle. And, you want to just turn things out really one way or another now. The eclipse that comes later in the month, the eclipse new moon on the 29th, which is followed by Neptune coming in here on the 30th. This is very much about, should you or shouldn't you throw your lot in with someone else? Or what does she mean by that? What do you mean by my lot? I mean, I mean your heart, I mean your valuables, your money, your heart, everything that you hold very dear to you. Don't rush, Virgo, whilst this retrograde is going on. Of course, it boils down to issues of trust. Do you trust them? And it's all about the ins and outs of joint finances, whether this is business or personal. And this month, let's not forget that with this Piscean Neptune effect in your zone of relationships, it's also important to keep your wits about you. I mean, I might, take the other tack and kind of go, oh, it's so magical and soulful. Yes. But maybe you also need to be discerning and keep your wits about you is, like seeing things from that reality base, which is an earth sign you really prefer. So you need to sort of look at it that way too. Amazing month. Yeah.
Very, very interesting. So another aspect of this is because I got why and protection. Sometimes you may have been doing something for a long time and forgot why you do it. Right. It became mired in all kinds of different identities and expectations and things like that. So you then have evolved from when you began, and it's changed, and you're not the same person. And you're like, why am I still here? Why am I doing this? So it's about recalibrating your why. this month also. I love that you said slow down and be discerning, because you have the fork in the road, which in the protection position represents indecision. It's okay to be a little indecisive. Don't let anybody push you into making any big decisions that don't serve you also, right? So like putting yourself in the mix as well too, allowing yourself to slow down and to really be present to what the month offers you. And it does feel a little more intense for Virgos, I think, than others. It could bring up a lot of emotional stuff, and yet there's some beautiful breakthroughs. So you'll know that better. I didn't mention it at the beginning of this video, but you're going to be looking at 3 different readings. You're going to be looking at your sun, like this would be the sun in Virgo, your rising sign, and your moon. So you want to look at all those 3 things, those 3 stories, and you'll see, oh, this is mitigated by, say you have moon in Cancer. Oh, my moon in Cancer makes me feel better because then this is this. So really take a look at more of the details with those 3 signs that you look at.
Absolutely. Very good.
Okay. And Libra.
Well, Libra, you just want everything to be harmonious and lovely and on an even keel. Well, I think you can guess it may not be like that this month. There's all this activity going on in Aries. So this is in the relationship angle of your chart. So things are going to be on and off. That doesn't mean to say break up and make up necessarily, but whether you should or shouldn't be doing these things with another person jointly, or the other person changing their mind or needing more time, you can't make up your mind, all of this kind of thing. But there are some practical matters that you want to get a handle on here. And this is all about the Pisces energy, which is going on. Whether this is, health and efficiency, having those little checkups, making sure that, all your systems are working, your technology, all of that kind of thing. You've got things that you want to get on with there. The eclipse new moon on the 29th in Aries. It might be that if you haven't come to a decision by that time, someone else makes the decision for you, or they present something new for you, because it's a bit of a fresh start. And that might be a new person, a new option, or it might be a new phase in an existing relationship. But then the ball is in their court. They're going to go, this is what we want to offer you. This is what's up for us, etc. Then this is very interesting, isn't it? Neptune moving into the relationship angle of your chart. Again, we could say, well, it's the stuff of soulmates. And in a way, you are one of the most romantic, or if not the most romantic sign of the same.
I got soulmates. Okay, that's too crazy.
And you could say, well, it was ever thus, but you're really going to get into it, Libra.
Oh my gosh. So this is crazy because, of course, I pulled soulmates for this month.
Yes, amazing.
But I also want to come to the edge in protection, which means don't rush anything.
No, don't. This is just the beginning.
Soulmates are maybe a romantic connection, but it's also the deepening and strengthening of friendship and meeting new people too, because it's a breakthrough also for Libra. And be discerning, just know that Spirit's got a plan, right? The universe has a plan for you, and all of these really positive things in your relationship angle of your chart, and that's for all Libras. Something is going to shift for your highest good, for the betterment, and and someone new. And it does feel like new friend, and also new element, new aspects of old relationships that are refreshing. Refreshing, right?
Revitalizing. Yeah.
And you can't have constants if you're only looking for stability. Revitalization means change, right? So it's like you have to let go that kind of harmony that you thought was harmony in the past. You have to have a new definition of it now. So.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Scorpio, well, navigation and negotiation around your workspace, perhaps, because a lot of this Aries retrograde is taking place in this work zone of your chart. So it's about how you work. It's not about, what your job title is or how other people see you in the world. That's 10th house. 6th house is sort of like, how do you work it, Scorpio? Even if you're a non-working technically, what do you do with the hours in your day? Are you making the best use of your time? It's about, that kind of efficiency. And your other news headlines and storyline really for the month of March is very romantic, because it's all about your 5th house, hopes, dreams, love, creative spark, all or any of those, getting into that. And, that's very nice, isn't it? To have those twin aspects going along together. At the end of the month, the eclipse new moon might very possibly be a new way of working or a new project. And also this idea of more self-care, Scorpio, because as we mentioned, touched on that health angle, it's sort of like, hang on a minute, I really do need to go and lie down or have a little bit of a nap or something, just speaking about myself here.
I know. I'm laughing, listening to your talk. Going,
and Neptune moving in here, I would say the spiritual practice. What about meditating daily? I'm sure nearly all of you do, but maybe have a think about that.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, so clean it up. So the 2 cards for you, for all Scorpios, are clean it up and yang. So these are really great because you're asking about your work. So you clean up what you know. It's like decluttering your work, right? Like, what don't I want to do anymore? What do I want to do? Can I simplify also? This is about simplification in its complexity, right? So keeping things clean between things, and also having the energy to do it, right? The yang is about energy. When it comes to romantic partnerships, don't be afraid to make the first move, or allow yourself to feel the energy and not to be afraid of it, right? That it, like, Scorpio is about death and transformation mostly, right? So you want to have transformation needs, you have to surrender to it too. Right? So like, oh, I'm going to change because of this. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a great month for Scorpio. Yeah, I will remind you of this when we talk next. How great the month is for you.
Report.
You tell we're friends. Yeah.
Sagittarius. Fun and games. These retrogrades are in the most playful angle of your chart. So, there you are having a play with your arrows, lots of ideas. But there is a serious aspect to March, and particularly around the 12th, the Sun and Saturn there, the eclipse full moon. You're looking literally at what you're aiming for. So you are playful, and you're maybe just sort of looking at options, alternatives, all of that, and enjoying yourself. But you also want to settle a few things. And in that mid-month period is when you actually kind of think, hang on a minute, this is what I'm going to do. Back to the inspiration of the spring equinox, which is on the 20th. That's the start of Aries season. And the eclipse new moon here generates the wow factor for you archers. It is so fun, honestly. Look, smiling. I'm just like, fabulous. And Neptune arriving in here. I think Neptune's, very much the planet of flow. So it's creative flow, it's inspirational flow. These are lovely stars.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, I'm thinking about my husband. Mark has a Sagittarius rising, and this makes total sense because he's working on his novel and finishing it where we are. So imagination and serendipity. This is a fabulous month for this Sagittarius. It is also synchronistic opportunities that show up just because, and you're so laissez-faire that you have no attachment to form, which is fabulous because you can use your imagination to saying, oh, I wonder if this would work. I wonder if this would work. Like, let's use our imagination and our intuition in service to whatever. And it's very, very lighthearted, but yet very great ideas can download to the Sagittarius, right? It seems frivolous, but it's not at all. Not at all. There's not frivolity. It's more fun, which is great.
Yeah, excellent.
All right.
Well, Capricorn, there's a lot of emphasis for you on the personal side of life, home and family. Venus and Mercury, well, you might be quite literally fixing things, going around with your screwdriver. Moving your furniture around, all of this. Your plans might be chopping and changing a bit. Not every day, of course, but, schedules and stuff. You need to stay centered. But really also opening up to the less rational side of life, because it is going to be hard to organize with all the retrogrades anyway. So one of the big messages of March for you is to let go, as the Sun, Venus, Neptune, Mercury are there in your mind zone. They're not going to add up in the normal way for you. So you just have to go with your instincts and your intuition. And then towards the end of the month, with the eclipse and with Neptune moving into Aries. Yeah, well, this is interesting, into the most personal area. Are you thinking about moving? Again, it's not going to happen the next day.
Right.
We've got a long time frame on this. But what are you dreaming of? What would be your ideal home? And, kind of, how do you feel personally with Neptune there? It's all about, having a bit of me time as well. Just being a workhorse. Yeah.
So it was an interesting card that we got with Orphaned. So if you notice that this, being is kind of sad on the top of a mini mountain. So as we know, Capricorn goes up to the top of the mountain, right? And you want to know that you like what you see up there. But this Capricorn this month, you're like, I think I want something else. I've done this climb now, and now what? Am I by myself? Because that's like, who's with me also. So, not allowing yourself to be isolated is going to be key this month for Capricorns also. And I love the idea of fixing things. That makes a lot of sense too, about going over things. The Between Worlds card is a second card, which is I'm not there yet. But I'm dreaming in this liminal space. This is the most profoundly fertile time for everybody. We're all in the liminal space right now.
Love that word. Yeah.
But Capricorn particularly, which is this rich, fertile soil that is not yet planted, but it is saying, I'm in between. What do I want to plant? That's not there yet. But so like what you said about dreaming, I think it's super key. I don't know why, but I'm also feeling that Capricorns need to address their losses as well. This month, there's a kind of a poignancy of letting go, right? Of letting go, kind of like finally letting go of certain things. And I think that's coming this month, March.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's with the Neptune energy too, which is great,
perfect.
More energy for you afterwards. Yes.
Don't hang on to anything. Okay.
Aquarius. Right, Mark, third house energy here. It's going to be a bit stop and start, but you're okay with that. It might feel a bit jolty, but you're talking, things are stalling, then you're thinking, then you're talking again. But I mean, actually, it's great. I mean, you can just sort of step in, step out, and you're absolutely okay with doing those moves. The Pisces energy is about closure on some unfinished business. I think that's coming up for you on the 12th and maybe even again on the 14th. This sense that you've paid your dues. Again, it's a lot about, how much you've put into something, the material value of it maybe, but how much you want to take on, how much you want to give emotionally. So I think that's going to be an interesting time in the month. And because of the Neptune, not everything is going to be laid out on the table this month. There's going to be some unknown factors. And this might pertain to financial matters where literally nobody knows. I mean, you're reading the experts. So, nobody really knows what's happening with the world at this point. If we're sort of doing wide angle lens out into the collective, there's a kind of time of, adjustment and uncertainty that we're going through. So if nobody knows, in other words, out there, you just have to know inside yourself what's best and right for you. And the eclipse new moon on the 29th, I would say, is like a fertilization new moon. So I love that. Implantation, fertilization of ideas. And with Neptune coming in, very creative, very inspiring. So you are just this phenomenal think tank during this month of March and beyond.
I like what you said too for Aquarius about because this makes sense with the closure, right? So this is mending in the protection position, which means you may not be able to get closure from someone else, but you have to do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Right? So this is the idea of like, if you've been ruminating over and over again about revenge or about something or about this didn't work and it's all your fault and I blame this, it's time to put it to bed. It's like, you know what? The closure for you has to be radical acceptance. Like, this is what it is. and I now need to move on. This type of feeling, right?
Yeah.
And then but from that comes yang, which is I will get all my energy back, right? So if I say enough now, enough, I'm getting my energy back. I'm going to be able to do many things, get creative again, and do all these things. So I do think, again, nothing is happening fast for anybody, even when you get your big epiphany or somebody walks into your life, or it's a slower month because we're getting ready to be shot out of a cannon. You know, where the flying, whatever they were, they come out and they shot out of cannons and they fly to the air.
Wow.
But it's really beautiful for Aquarius, as long as you take advantage of the energy, of course, right? If you don't, you're going to be forced to.
Yeah, return of soul parts. You know, this is about the renewal of your energy. So where you've left little fragments of your soul in other situations, people or whatever, calling it all back in so it comes back to you, which is great. It will feel fabulous, fantastic. So Pisces, well, it's still Pisces season up until the 20th, and there is a lot happening in your sign. Mercury is going to meet with Neptune twice this month. The Sun will meet with Neptune, Venus with Neptune, and the Sun is also going to meet with Saturn, which is a bit of a crunch point on the 12th. Plus, you've got that eclipsed full moon in Virgo, which, you know, balances out Sun in Pisces, eclipsed full moon in Virgo. This is like really looking at someone or something fairly and squarely in the eyeballs and sort of seeing it for what it is, which is, you know, could be quite revelatory, actually. So there's some big news coming through. But for me, I think March and the fact that Neptune is going to leave you after spending 14 years in your sign. If you think back over the last 14 years, Neptune in Pisces has been about spiritual growth, awareness, awakening, but you've also had Saturn there. So it's been hard work. It's been grueling for some. You know, you've had to try and stay very grounded and to think very clearly about things. So it's an extraordinary adjustment and a liberation as Neptune kisses you goodbye towards the end of the month for 6.5 months, and sort of just feel into the release of that. And of course, in late May, we're going to get Saturn moving out from you as well. And it'll be like the kids have left home. You know, you have to get used to a whole new paradigm. It'd be amazing.
I love these. Okay, so higher power, right, is the card for Pisces as you know, you're moving on, or you're being released from this 14-year cycle. But it's really about, don't forget your higher power. Like, you've worked so hard to have a conscious contact to that power greater than you. You know that the spiritual world is part of your world. It's really important. But it's really interesting too. It's like, who am I going to be when I grow up? Right? So the fork in the road. Now that I can go into the playground, and now that I'm, you know, there's going to be an empty nest. Like, not really, but you know, it's like, well, what do we do now, right? So, so it's a bittersweet kind of a thing. Like, you feel so happy, but also a little sad, you know, like, it's going to be different. What do I know? And I think just being able to repeat the mantra, I don't know, you know, like, I don't know. Spirit knows. I have to let spirit lead. Yeah. Right. I don't. Spirit knows. Let it lead. Right. And then that's okay, because then it's less, I have to make decisions, because you don't. No. Anyway, this was so great. Thank you so much. Cool. Yeah. And if you want to have a reading whilst you're going through this Mad March energy, please get in touch with me on my website, which is debbiefrank.com. That would be great. And we can work something out. And fabulous. And she's so good, you guys. Oh my God, it's so fantastic. I'm going to book none too. And you will see us back when our April Astro Oracle readings are up and running, because we're going to have so much fun every month, because every month is something wild. It's amazing. Yeah, don't forget, sign up for a reading with Debbie. She's so phenomenal. And she's still, you know, the very fact that she's still doing readings is amazing, because people need her right now. And I really highly recommend her. Okay, everybody. Thanks, Debbie. Thanks, everybody.